So when I was retiring, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I've been playing basketball my whole life, and then so it was scary. I called Kobe and I went down to go meet with him. He would just give me tips. And I'm asking him, how did you do that? What was your thought process? And he said, just keep pushing, keep pushing. So a lot of the things that he's done, I was almost mimicking. And, like I said, I just wanted to, he's one of the ones I wanted to make proud. As an athlete, so many athletes get in trouble, on the business side. And Kobe is making really good decisions, and that's very important and inspiring to the future athletes. It was things on that side that I wanted to show him, and I wanted to thank him for helping me and help my family. When you have a teacher, because you can't get a lot of the knowledge in college, right, or high school, or in life if you don't have the background. And Kobe was like that, a teacher also, for me. So so many things I'm grateful for. One, him helping me get a focus on the title. I mean, as a kid, that's all I wanted. Life is bigger than basketball, but not really. When you're a kid, that's all you want. Is to win a championship, and I don't know if I would have had a championship. I could say I would have, but I don't know how realistic it would have been if I wasn't his teammate.
Now I'm actually taking a page out of Kobe's book in terms of just, he, through this tragedy, so many different people have kind of spoken about what he meant to them, and just a little, like a simple text that he would send, how much confidence that gave them. And I'm an example of that too. One game we were playing the Lakers in my rookie year, and I did a little spin move situation, hit it off the glass, and they panned to him on the bench, and he mouths off to one of his teammates sitting next to him like, yo, he's nice. Right? And so somebody sent me that clip right after, and you don't know how much confidence that gave me in that moment. Like, oh, I'm the best player in the world now. Like just for him saying that and almost validating, my skill level and things like that. So,
what I'm saying? All the people from, where I'm from, and, for him to tell me that, in his book, I'm an all-star and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like that, I talked about the popularity contest before, and like, you don't win things like that, when you're me. So for him to say that, like, I didn't need to be selected, anymore. Like, because I was an all-star, you feel me? Like, it's not just like my family, it was the guy.
I mean, Kobe, not just for me, it was for everybody, inspiration, his hard work, the way he played the game, the way he was off the court. It was just something amazing. I think not just in basketball, he inspired a lot of people in the world, and, we'll miss him for sure.
He said something like, if Kobe and somebody had a baby, it'd be me, whatever. And, just for people to put me in the same sentence with Kobe, just make me feel good about my grind, my mom, my family, my teammates, y'all, my homeboys. Just is a tribute to y'all. You know what I mean? For a motherfucker to put me in the same category as Kobe Bryant, like, that's so dope to me.
My first All-Star game in 2014, I think it was. I sat next to him pretty much the whole game. I didn't play a lot, and he was hurt, but he was on the team. And on the bench, he just was, just dropping so much knowledge on me, and just kind of comforting me. Like, when you get out there, just shoot. Be confident. You belong here. You could have been here last year. Just his words meant so much to me in that time. And after that game, he was just like, keep in touch. And I was kind of nervous to even reach out to him or anything like that, but I did. And just how he always got back to me. He always had encouraging things to say and honest things to say. And we just kind of developed a friendship from there. So it's just sad, because I didn't take, the friendship and my access to him for granted, but I just wish I would have taken more advantage of it and said more. Just because you don't expect things like this to happen. You know, you don't expect it to happen so fast.
For me, Cole was my imagination. That was the player, you know, obviously as I got older and able to look at Michael Jordan, he became one of my favorite players. But growing up, when I started to understand and comprehend basketball at a young age, it was from Cole. Being a Laker fan, we didn't have cable. All we had was channel KCal 9 when the Lakers came on channel 9. That was the only fucking channel we had. So I watched every Laker game growing up. Cole was the one that I gravitated to. And for me to see the start, the fails, I remember begging my dad, could we go get a newspaper? Just so I could see what he said after the game, you know, comments after the game, little shit like that gave me an emotional connection to one of my favorite players that made me want to push harder when it came to want to play sports, seeing how he got better, the things he went through. The culture of LA for me, from me being 31 now, is based around, you know, Bean, man. Like the energy always been Kobe, you know. Obviously, you know, I always heard the stories like my dad and, you know, my uncles always talk about, you know, the Showtime Lakers. That's kind of like their generation. But for people my age, like, you can't think about the Lakers without thinking about Kobe. When you think about that yellow and gold, you think about Bean. You know what I mean?
But I can remember this vividly. I'm signing. As soon as I get signed, Mr. West said, "Hey, man, I just moved Vladdy. I don't know how I got this kid. I got a kid named Kobe Bryant. You and him, we going to get multiple championships." And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Because I'm looking at all the goddamn zeros. So, well, yeah, he said that. Like, he saw something in Kobe that nobody saw. And then in an interview, Kobe reminded me that he came to Orlando to see Penny, and Penny kind of blew him off, and he had this sad look on his face, and I grabbed him and was like, "Come on, man, take a picture." I never knew that was him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never knew that was him until he told me, you know, when we did that TNT Laker thing, he said, "You don't remember meeting me?" He never told me that. Like, you know, through all the years that we played in there, he never told me that.
He told us the Penny story. I didn't know that you, that's dope.
You know, I don't even know that it matters if you've seen him play. Like, you know who he is, you know what I mean? I mean, it speaks to who he was and what he was able to do. And I was kind of thinking about it when I was lifting, you know, his last tweet, you know, being about LeBron, congratulating him and talking about moving the game forward. It's really fitting because that's all he ever did was move the game forward. So, you know, it's tough, man, because, you know, that's like, that was his biggest passion, you know, and I know his daughter, you know, that was huge for him as well, and you know, for it to happen like that, it's just, I don't know what to say. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Me and Kobe, we've had some differences, you know, early in our careers and stuff like that, but he meant a lot to me. And one thing that, you know, I wish that, you know, I would have had a chance to do is tell him how much I really appreciated him and the growth and change that I saw with him as a from a player to retiring from the NBA and all the stuff he did with the girls and, you know, starting a basketball program and, you know, really catering to women. You know, that was very special to me. And I just wanted to tell him how thankful I was for that and that opportunity to play with him and how appreciative I was just for all the things that we had went through together as players and also brothers, you know. And it's something that still hurts today. I think about it every day. And I just would just tell people, man, you know, while you're here on this earth, you know, enjoy everybody, enjoy every single moment that you have. And be gracious. Be gracious because you never know when it could be your last. And, you know, I really wish I would have had a chance to tell him how grateful I was.
You know, I've known Kobe since he was 15 years old, and I was 16, playing AAU basketball. And we go through 18 years of competing and talking junk and about to fight each other and congratulating each other and hating each other, enjoying each other in 18 years. Playing against him for the last time, I want to say in Memphis, our last battle, just remember talking with him during and after, because we didn't have a lot of conversation during the game often. And if it wasn't friendly, even though we played against each other. And that's what I enjoyed, and that's just what it was. But I think just talking to him and just, I remember asking him, was he ready to retire? He's like, he's ready. And I was like, how are you going to handle it? After 20 years of doing something, how do you handle it? He's like, I'll be okay. He's ready, and he said he's going to figure out. Move forward to when we had a conversation in New Jersey after the game. Kind of revert back to that conversation, and I was like, how is it? He's like, he was the happiest he's been, and getting the opportunity to see his girls grow up, helping his daughter figure out the game and understanding how he understood it, and you can see that in her game at a young age. And the next thing we talked about was, he asked me if I was ready. And it was if I was ready to handle it. I was just, I'm back and forth with it all the time. And he's like, you'll enjoy it. It's peaceful. And he said that's when he said he was at his happiest. And he said, we'll connect soon and we'll talk about it.
In Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals, it was 2-2. It was us versus the Rockets, obviously. And I had been out the rotation the first 4 games, and Steve put me back in the rotation, just a little adjustment, get some more shooting out there. And about a minute left, 50 seconds left, I'm guarding Chris Paul. I get a stop on Chris Paul. Draymond gets the rebound. He brings it down. He finds me on the break. Like, I had 0 points at the time. I was like 0 for 2, man, and I bobble the ball, and I shoot it, miss. They come down. We end up losing the game. And you know how it is now. Social media is killing me. We down 3-2, and this is my first year with the Warriors. I'm like, dang, my first year, we about to go down. I just told myself, man, this is going to be my Kobe moment. Like, I remember him airballing 3 shots against Utah, in his first big playoff experience. And that's what I kept telling myself. Fast forward a year later, we in the finals. I get the same shot at the same spot, against the Raptors in the finals, and I hit them. And from literally three threes in a row, to win Game 2. And, in my head, I'm like, damn, like that's my moment. Like, I remember I missed last year, but I had enough nuts to take the next shot, and I had enough nuts to believe in myself. And, I made the shot, and then I seen Cole this summer, and he's like, man, I hadn't told him like that was my mama moment. Like, he's what came to my mind when I missed the shots and when I made the shots. He just came up to me. He was like, man, that was your moment. You got big cojones. Like, you missed the year before that. Y'all know him. You missed the year before that. And the next year, you took the same shot, and you won a finals game. And he said he was proud of me, man. And, that meant the world to me. I called my mom right after, man. Cole just just me being a fan, but also being his friend, man. That meant the world to me, and I'm always hold that dear to my heart for sure.
As far as I know, every kid growing up viewed Kobe as an idol. Always wanted to be like Kobe, and he was. I know for me and the guys that I was around, my family and my friends, he was our first superstar to really look up to day in and day out.
Man, well, for me, obviously. Especially watching this Jordan documentary and hearing people like around you guys' age and older, like how my dad talked about Jordan, really made me realize like that was Kobe for me. Like Kobe was my Jordan, and he was my favorite player.
Right.
He was the reason I started playing basketball. Like, I had all the jerseys, all the shoes. I wanted to be just like him. So, Kobe was Jordan for me.
Man, Kobe meant everything to me. Kobe was.
I see you light up.
Yeah, Kobe was my Michael Jordan.
Right.
Kobe was, like I said, my family's from Inglewood, so I was brainwashed into being a Laker fan. So in '96, I was 7 years old. And knowing who Kobe was, getting drafted, Shaq just came over. Like, that was my childhood, you know. You know, he was everything to my life, not just hoop. You know, I wanted to be him. I knew I wasn't just because I wasn't going to be 6'6". I wasn't going to be as big as him, but, you know, he inspired me in so many different ways. And then when I was able to, you know, reach that level of, you know, one of the top guys in the NBA, I was able to build a relationship with Kobe. And it wasn't just no hoop relationship. It was an everyday, you know, lifestyle relationship in terms of if I was going through something, I can hit him and he was hitting me right back. And, you know, he meant everything to me. When I was able to build that friendship with him, it was crazy checking my phone and seeing a text from Kobe.
Right.
Like, it didn't make no sense because, you know, I looked up to him for so long. So, you know, when I got signed with the Pelicans and they were giving me jersey options and 24 was there, it was a no-brainer. Like, I wanted to do my part into paying some type of homage to my favorite player to ever play the game.
Your 2 years here, obviously so much has happened since then, but when you look back on your 2 years here, what comes to mind first?
It was a blur. It was a blur, to be honest. Came here, I remember Kobe more than anything, you know, the Kobe farewell tour, you know, getting to be a part of that and see that and see the respect that he had around the league. I've always been like, I wanted that, you know, so that's really the main thing.
I think for me, it's more personal to me because I think in 2016 was probably the lowest point of my NBA career of where, you know, a chain of events just kind of almost took me down the tube. And Kobe reached out to me, and I'm just like, Kobe, like, it's almost like crying to like your older brother, or like Kobe, like, I don't know what to do. Like, these people trying to take me out. Like, the league's trying to take me out. The media's trying to take me out. Like, everybody's trying to take me out. Like, I don't know what to do. And it just felt like my career was caving in on me. To get that call, and he told me, he said, Draymond, 99% of the world is okay with mediocrity. You're chasing something so much bigger that how do you ever expect anyone to understand you? And for me, that was all I needed to hear, especially coming from a guy who just that I've loved since I was a kid, that, you know, I have the utmost respect for, that I ended up building a relationship with. That meant the world to me because it was like Kobe said, F everybody is everybody, you know? And I was able to hold on to that and rally and just keep going and build on it. And for me, that was like Kobe was a real guy, you know?
Again, just for me being from LA and growing up watching him and being a Laker fan growing up, and just what he did for the culture of basketball for so many years, and not only that, but for the world. It's a sad day. I guess in my heart, Kobe would want us to beat the Celtics, so that was a good win. But man, just so much prayer to him and his family. Just to find peace in this situation, I couldn't imagine. My first game back home, my rookie year, I got 6 stitches. Bit on the pump fake, and he elbowed me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was like my first Kobe experience. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to experience that, how tough he was. There's also another one here where I think he tore his rotator cuff and shot that fadeaway left-handed. I think I told Frank on the bench that, like, I was sitting looking directly at it, and he just turned around with his left hand. It was amazing, man. So yeah, he'll be missed.
I didn't meet him until my rookie year, but I mean, just growing up, I mean, he's on the TV all the time. You know, everybody wants to be Kobe, shooting shots in the trash can. You know, when you're a little kid in school, yelling Kobe. So, I mean, his influence on everybody is, you know, tremendous.
So we were playing New York, and he was in New York, but he went to watch the Brooklyn game. And he texted me on my phone. He was like, "Oh, Jan's, like, I didn't know you were in town. I didn't know the Knicks were playing the Bucks. So I really apologize that I'm not able to come to your game. I'm going to the Brooklyn game." And I was like, you're Kobe Bryant. Like, you don't have to say nothing to me. Like, you don't even have to talk to me. Like, you know, so, man, he was a down-to-earth guy, and that's why he was special.
That's a young basketball player and somebody you looked up to, and as a high schooler, you know, not knowing much outside of just playing basketball, and then getting to the league and getting to knowing the person and the man and everything just that comes with it. With Kobe Bryant was just a joy to be around. You know, it's just you display every emotion when you're around him. You know, as a competitor, you hated playing against him. You know, as somebody that admired him, you just loved being in his presence. It was just one of those things. As a young hooper, he meant the world to us. Being around somebody who's been through so much in his life, who've invited everybody into his life as well along that journey, and just to see the lessons that Kobe learned through the game and how he was so eager to give it off to the younger players. Not just myself, guys that were #1 options on their team, but even role-playing guys. He always, you know, guys that were, you know, in and out the league, he always had his arm around them. So just a huge, huge ambassador for us all, but also had us dreaming about what life is like outside of the game and how we can all tie it together. His lessons were small and short. He didn't say much when you was around him. He was really closed off and reserved, but when you broke that down, it was just like phenomenal to see the human he is, human he was, and just the curiosity that he had for the game, for life in general. I heard that a lot the last couple of days, his curiosity, and that's what stood out to me. I remember he asked me about how I came off a pin down one time, and I'm like, you're Kobe. You know, so it's just, I can talk about the memories and the small interactions that I had that probably he didn't know that touched me, but I can go on and on. But
I mean, he's influenced so many people that it's beyond basketball. Just the mentality of getting up, being great, pushing through any and everything, and wanting to be the best at what you do. That's in life in general, not just basketball, not just what you do. But anybody can say, you know, I want that Mamba mentality. I have to. There's no other choice but to be the best.
Just knowing him personally, I know he'd have wanted me to come out here and try to ball and, you know, still just be great. So, you know, that's what I tried to do tonight.
Can you describe the mood amongst your teammates?
I mean, everybody's sad, you know what I mean? You know, words can explain his impact he had on this floor. You know, the emotional impact he had on everybody, you know what I mean? You know, we're a team from LA, so we know LA's history with him. And, you know, I mean, it's just sad.
It was actually, you know, knowing that, you know, that was his final All-Star. You know, we kind of shared that moment. And then I think the first one when he, in 2013, when I was a first-time All-Star, I think he got injured, and I was his replacement. And he told me to make him go out there and look good because I was replacing him. So, and he was by me the whole time. You know, it was in New Orleans, and he was just telling me, like, you know, you'll be fine. You know, I was nervous, obviously, and he was right there just kind of holding my hand through it.
We all have Kobe stories, and I have a couple, like, more personal ones. But when I'm like 80, hopefully I'm still alive, but when I'm like 80, I'm going to tell my grandkids, like, I guarded Kobe Bryant in the NBA Finals. And yes, he got the best of me, but I had some stops. Check the tape. Check the tape.
I mean, like, truthfully, Cole was like one of the few guys that I just like wasn't kind of like all of.
We all were.
Like, I played mad against everybody, but him, we always had like a different type of relationship. I think it was more out of respect too. Everybody else, I pretty much couldn't care less about. It seemed that way. I mean, off the court, and but you know, just to have the opportunity to match up with him, know him on and off the court, was special. I mean, it made me who I am, pretty much. I mean, I got my nickname after a Laker game, matching up with Kobe, won the championship, pretty much, and kind of like cemented my legacy playing against him. Right. You know, so he meant so much to me in the basketball world, and just to see him be gone like that, it was just. It's like you almost lost a family member, or you did. You know, like I've lost family members, I've lost friends and stuff, but for some reason this one like hit, like one of the hardest hitting ones. And
he was untouchable. He's like damn untouchable to us.
Like,
Yeah,
you
right.
anything can happen that can't happen to
It's not
Kobe.
supposed to happen to Kobe, right?
Right. And so like it really, like even today, man, I'm like
It
just
still
looking
don't
at the
seem real.
mirror,
Yeah.
like it's hard. It's hard, man.
Well, his last game in Philly, I got the chance to spend about 45 minutes with him, just talking to him, and I think that was really cool, especially for me. My story, I started playing basketball. It was because of him. Back in 2011, 2010, watching the NBA Finals, and I had never played basketball before, and then I just watched it, and then I was like, I watched him, and that's what I want to do because of him. So I was really sad when I heard the news.
And that's one of the biggest things I miss about Kobe, and not getting that opportunity to play with him when the trade stuff happened, is that
I was
and
there.
Kobe,
They blocked that shit. I couldn't believe it. Remember, I was talking to you. You were talking to me
Yes.
and Kobe. I'm like, bro, what, you gonna fucking love LA? There's nothing like being a Laker. Next thing I know, David Stern blocks the trade.
But the crazy part about the All-Star games is that me and Kobe used to always say, we won't lose. Like,
right. He
Because I
told
ain't
us
with
that.
Yeah, we used to beat the
told us
hell out of
that.
people. And the thing was, fans would be like, oh, the game wasn't good. And we'd be like, well, we just gonna beat y'all ass. We ain't got nothing to do
Right,
with that.
fuck. No, Kobe told us. He said he would look over at you and be like, CP, let's go.
I think he best describes it in terms of, he was my all-time favorite teammate. I'm obsessively committed to trying to figure out how my team can beat your team, and willing to do whatever it takes to get to that point. To me, that's what always defined our relationship. Even though I could barely, hold his shoestring, he still allowed me to go along for the ride because we shared that bond of, I'll die out here on this court if I need to, in order to make sure that my opponent knows he's not gonna last longer than I am. And I feel like that's how we were both able to lead the teams that we played on together, and the guys that played with us, I think they were open enough and man enough to allow us to lead the way we tried to.
But for me, when I got into the league, Kobe Bryant was the bar. He was the greatest player in the game to me before I got in the league, but definitely when I got there. I mean, he was someone, I think he was 24 years old at the time when I got in. He had 3 NBA championships already. You know what I mean? And when you want to talk about the swagger, oof. I mean, Kobe had it. But as a competitor, I knew that Kobe was the one for me that I had. If I wanted to be great, that I had to get on the level of Kobe Bryant. However I did that, I knew I had to get on his level or be respected by him in some way where he looked at me as equal. So it pushed me, and he pushed me. And we didn't talk a lot early on, but I feel like when we got to around 2008 in the Olympics is when we got close, and it all started from training. Like, I think once you get around guys and you really see who they are and what they're built of, because you're around them for 2-3 months. And Kobe saw that my grind was very similar to his grind, and that me and him did a lot of things where it was just me and him, and it wasn't no one else around, and so he started respecting me in a way that I already had respect for him in. And then he just became like a big brother, during Olympics. His knowledge of the game, even though I was a great player, Kobe had knowledge of the game that I didn't have. And so he became a person that I would go to and just, hey, what should I do on this play? Hey, how should I do this? And he kind of he came to me and said, listen, when he heard that I wasn't starting, and he knew that, I'm sure he knew that, man, I know this is tough for D-Wade not to be starting on this team. But he came to me right away and he eased my mind. He was like, listen, when you get in a game and it's me and you on the floor, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up 94 feet. I'm going to turn these guys. And once I turn them, you do what you do. You come in, and so I got so many steals and so many dunks and so much because of an unselfishness of a star in our league to tell me, hey, I'm going to do these things. And all you got to do is, so we just built a relationship, and that relationship went from respect as competitors to now where I felt like he was a friend, and it eventually grew into just a brotherhood. Obviously, when I retired, and I, you just imagine like, okay, we're going to be those two old guys that, that go to games, and when the Heat play to LA, and we're going to be on opposite sides, and it's just going to be that kind of thing. You see it coming, and not to have that, not to be retired and have somebody that I can chase after still, because he was doing amazing things after the game of basketball. You feel a little lost. And I said that when Kobe retired, I said, you know what, when Kobe retired from basketball, I didn't have no one to chase anymore. I kind of lost a little bit of something in me when Kobe retired, because it was like, well, who am I chasing now? You know what I mean? Who is that big matchup for me? Because it's just the younger guys coming up, and you want to make sure. But I felt like Kobe was the only one that was on the level that I was on, as one of the top two guards. And even though I felt he was on a higher level than me, but I still was able to chase him. And I didn't have anybody to chase no more, so it was kind of like, okay.
Kobe meant a lot to me growing up. I had both jerseys, 8 and 24, growing up. I feel like I studied his footwork game because I respected it. I think it's top 2 of all time. But, I mean, that's tough, man. I was on the way to the arena when I got the news. I just sent my prayers to his family. You just hate to see what happened to him and his daughter. You just hope the world would give the Bryant family all the support they need.
That was my guy, man. I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to do everything like him. And then growing up, coming into my own, I got to meet him for the first time. And Coach K knew him. And Coach K would always make sure, like, if he came to a game, I would get the first 5 minutes with him. And if he sent a text after a game, Coach K always bring me back on the plane and show me the text that Kobe sent. And he knew how much, I loved him. And I got to meet him, got to form a relationship with him. And you guys know him. He was so cool, man. These past couple of years, him after basketball, he was just so fun. He's always smiling, always with his family, man, and just tragic thing. And I think we're still, all trying to, make it make sense. It never makes sense, but we got to just keep his legacy going.
Yeah. So it's obviously it's a sad situation. Kobe, I recently got to meet Kobe. And talked to him even more this past year. His daughter obviously loved watching me play, and so Kobe got connected with my trainer, Alex Bazell, and so that's how Gigi was working with my trainer, and she found out. And so that's how I got connected with Kobe, is through my trainer Alex, and so me and Kobe got to talk pretty frequently. It was even more heartbreaking for me knowing that I was Gigi's favorite player to watch. I was just blessed I was able to meet him and have that type of relationship with him. So
Gigi was with her protector.
Yes.
She was with her dad.
Amen.
You know what I mean? And she wouldn't rather be in any other place. So Kobe, being who he is, would, right now probably hit my chin up, tell me to keep it together, and just keep going. It's crazy how life happens, and it's just so precious. The opportunity to play together would have been crazy, because we went so hard against each other, just competing against each other. But one of the funniest things ever was when he tweeted that picture of our kids, and he said, at least Gigi and little Chris to get a chance to play together. And I don't know. It's still tough.
What's the team's energy, focus like, and then the drive to actually winning it the year he passes?
Yeah, at first it was tough, man. That was a tough adjustment for the team, because how you get to that initial stages, the first few days, right? Kind of get used to it, but every time we went on the road, teams did a Kobe tribute. That season. So it was tough to kind of put it behind you.
Yeah.
But I think once we got to the bubble, you kind of felt like everybody's motivation. And then they pulled out the mama jerseys.
Just as hard.
When they pulled out the mama jerseys, dog, you saw just a different, for whatever reason, man, they played at a different sense of urgency, but you kind of felt everybody was really, really pulling in that direction, man, and trying to do something special.